What's good, people? It is Tony the Savant. And before we get started, please like this video, share this video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel. As well, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. As I drop content daily, go live daily, stay very busy on the platform. And last but not least, please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, as I'm always intrigued to know what you all have to say about these topics. And ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, ladies and sports fans and gentlemen, we got to recap. The upset of the century is what I'm billing this game, as the Vanderbilt Commodores were able to seal a victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide, 40-35, in a very impressive, epic fashion. And I don't think I can use enough adjectives or superlatives to really describe this game, as I got to watch it from start to finish. And I don't know. I was speechless. I was absolutely speechless because as the game progressed, you could definitely tell that Alabama, they really wasn't playing well. They didn't really seem like they was all the way locked in. And I don't think it's any fault of their own per se. You know what I mean? I think just coming off such a big game last week to Georgia, the preparation and the practices and the mental energy that they had to exert in that game in order to get the victory, I should say. I think it came with a cost. When you focus so much on one task, and it can take a lot out of you. I can attest to this, as I do documentaries and certain bigger, longer format projects. And every time I'm done with one of those, I do take a day off from dropping content, because it just takes a lot of research, a lot of strenuous attention in order to get, the big wins, if you will. And that's what I'm not making an excuse for Alabama. I'm just saying that coming into this game versus a team like the Vanderbilt Commodores, who has been playing feisty all season long. I mean, led by one Diego Pavia, who was brought over here by Coach Lee from New Mexico State, because this kid is just walking intangible. He's fiery, he's focused, he's fearless, excuse me. And I just like Diego Pavia, man. This is one of the kids this season that has really impressed me, with the string of wins and games that he's been able to put together. Now, the Vandy Commodores, they are 3-2. 1-1 in the conference. They haven't exactly been, shocking anybody or impressing anybody up until this game anyway. They did get a good comeback victory over Virginia Tech, but outside of that, the Commodores have been a bit under the radar. But I know for sure everybody will be paying attention to them now, as they were able to topple the number one ranked team in Alabama, after Alabama had just gotten the number one spot. Respectfully, after that win over Georgia, they were able to get the number one spot in the AP poll. But just wanted to read over this article real quick, as it highlights some of the events from the game. But it says fans of the Vanderbilt Commodores dance onto the field, jumping up and down as they tore down a goalpost, carried it out of the stadium, and rang out sweet sounds of victory. The school's historic win over number one Alabama deserved to be celebrated this way. Cedric Alexander ran for 2 touchdowns. Randon Fontenette scored on a pick six, and Diego Pavia outplayed Heisman Trophy candidate Jalen Milroe, as Vanderbilt stunned Alabama 40-35 on Saturday for the Commodores' first win over the nation's top-ranked team. That is a fact. I heard a lot of people, jumping on the Jalen Milroe bandwagon after the win over Georgia, which rightfully so. Jalen Monroe has been prolific this season. I've pegged him college football's Lamar Jackson this season, because the guy had been averaging 2 touchdowns on the ground rushing and 2 touchdowns passing up until this game. And also averaging at least 100 yards in the air and 100 yards on the ground. So just doing it all around, the dual threat right there. And I thought that it would be more of the same coming into this game, but it was not. And to kudos to Vandy, they was able to really nullify Jalen Monroe's rushing abilities, especially in that first half. In the second half, when the Alabama started to come back, they excuse me, Jalen Monroe was able to find some seams. But that first half, the Commodores locked them up, and I think that's one of the key successes for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You got to get Jalen Monroe in the open field and allow him to create. But the article continues. Vanderbilt 3-2, 1-1 in the SEC now, had lost all 60 games against AP top five teams. According to Sports Radar, the Commodores hadn't beaten Alabama on the field in 40 years, y'all. That is crazy. Lordy, but they snapped they snapped a 23-game skid, making big play after big play to give Coach Clark Lee his alma mater's biggest win ever. And shout out to Clark Lee, man. He's really rebuilt this program. I recall the interview that he had at the beginning of the season that I watched, and he's really sold that Vanderbilt can be a competitor week in, week out, and that's exactly what they've been. A lot of people, and a lot of people still have Vanderbilt as the cellar dweller of the SEC. But I think they got something to say, and I'm really excited for that next week's game. This is going to be Vandy versus Kentucky. Woo, that's going to be a war of hearts right there, because Kentucky also has been showing up really big and especially representing the SEC very well when the Wildcats are on the field. But let's continue here. This is the dream right here, Lee said. And for the next 12 hours, I'm going to enjoy the dream. We've got more ahead of us, but this is what Vanderbilt football needs to be about: big wins on big stages. We're going to go get some more. The Commodores scored the first 13 points and took a 16-point lead. That was their largest ever over the number one team in the country. Only Jam Miller's running for his second TD just before halftime trimmed that to 23-14. Alabama had just moved Alabama had just moved to the top of the AP poll, as we had talked about last week, after the win over number two Georgia. It'll be a short stay, and first-year coach Kalen DeBoer said it's back to work for a team that wasn't at its best on Saturday. And I believe they just dropped the AP polls as well today, and Alabama is at 7. So it's not bad. They're not out the mix for sure. But man, after a game like this, I know it's a blow to the confidence. We're going to find out who we really are and how much we care about each other and what it looks like going forward, Coach DeBoer said. We've been tested in different ways, really a lot of games here this season, and this is a different type of test now in our response. I agree. As an athlete myself, as a guy that has been a part of some very winning programs myself, when you do take a loss like this to a lowlier team, I've seen it. I've seen egos fly, all of a sudden, because like everybody else knew, that you're supposed to beat that team, and it does, hit the confidence just a tap when you don't win. The article continues. Alexander capped the game's opening drive with a 7-yard touchdown to put Vandy ahead to stay. It marked the first time since 2007 that Vandy had opened the game against Alabama with a touchdown. The last time being Nick Saban's second game as a coach. Woo, that's maybe. Woo, I couldn't even imagine. That's a long time ago. The Tide 4-1, 1-1, helped Vanderbilt pad the lead with too many mistakes and sloppy play and penalty. That's a fact. Alabama got to 30-28 with Milroe's 58-yard touchdown pass to Ryan Williams, my favorite player in college football right now. The Commodores answered with 10 points. Of their total, 13 came off Milroe's 2 turnovers. The second strip sack, the second A strip sack by Miles Capers, recovered by Yelanin Adatua at midfield. Pavia capped the drive with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Alabama's native Cameron Johnson with 5:07 left for the 40-28 lead. Milroe tried to rally Alabama with Williams scoring on an end around on 4th and 1 from 2 yards out with 2:46 left. Vanderbilt fans and players started celebrating as Pavia knelt down to run out the clock. Games like this change your life, Pavia said. And respectfully, I can agree. Miro had his second pass of the game tipped into the air by DeRicky Wright, who committed to Alabama and wound up flipping to go to Vanderbilt. Fontenette grabbed the ball and ran 24 yards to the end zone for the pick six and the 13-0 lead at 8:03 in the first quarter. Vanderbilt jumped out to a 23-7 lead, just the second time in the last 10 seasons that a number one team trailed an unranked opponent by 16 or more points. Vanderbilt never trailed as the Commodores played keep away, holding the ball for just over 42 minutes. Alabama had a 312 to 252 yardage advantage on offense. It didn't matter with Vandy converting 12 of 18 on their third downs, wearing down the Tide defense. Alabama linebacker Deontay Lawson said this earlier. Oh, okay, whatever. We don't care about that. All right, so that's the article. That's just a bit of a recap of the game, just to give you all a bit of a visual of how things transpired if you didn't see the game. Again, this was a very impressive game by Vandy and a very undisciplined game, if I can say that about the Alabama Crimson Tide. But again, with this 12 game, or excuse me, the 12 team format, to the credit of Alabama, they made a mention of this in their post game interviews. Nothing is in concrete yet. They definitely can regain their spot as the top dog in the SEC. Nobody looks dominant in the SEC. In fact, week 6, I think this was the week of upsets. A lot of the powerhouse programs took losses. Alabama was just the most notorious of them all. So they definitely can, tweak things up, get back into shape. Next week, Alabama goes home to host South Carolina, who have been feisty as well. I think who just played South Carolina? Ole Miss. Yeah, I think Ole Miss just played them and beat them. So South Carolina may have a chip on their shoulder and definitely will be using the tape from Vanderbilt. Once this tape is out, everybody starts copycatting. The team that beat you. And again, what I've noticed myself was that Vandy was doing a very spectacular job in nullifying Jalen Milroe's ability to run. So I'm pretty sure going forward, that's what teams would do as well. Force him to be a passer exclusively at some point in the game. And so you can take advantage of that because I like Jalen Milroe. I just have my concerns about him as far as his throwing abilities. Which is often the case when you get these superstar, these super athletic mobile quarterbacks. They tend to be a little bit, if they have a flaw, their flaws typically, sit in that pocket and throwing with some accuracy. So Vanderbilt tested that theory and was very successful in that, especially like I said in the first half, and able to get the upset of the century. Man, this was beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to watching Vandy play from now on. I'm gonna be very attentive to what this program has going on. I did get to see them in the beginning, and again, they got that feisty win against Virginia Tech. But this is the one right here. I think we're gonna be talking about for ages. If Vanderbilt comes up, I'm sure this game will come up every time with it. And again, Vanderbilt has Kentucky next week. That should be a good game. Another SEC matchup between two teams who have been fighting hard all season long. Have been kind of overlooked, but being able to give these powerhouse programs a run for their money. And then Alabama, again, they return home to go against the South Carolina Gamecocks. So we shall see. Is it the Gamecock? I forget. Yeah, because I'm thinking of Dawn Staley and those girls over there, the ladies basketball team. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all on this one, man. Please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as I drop content and go live very daily. And last but not least, please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, as I'm always interested to know what y'all got to say about these topics. Shout out to Diego Pavia once again, man, and one of my favorite players in the league right now, and not just off his pure skill. Like, yeah, yo, Brody is a dog. He really is a dog. So that's it for this one. I am Tony the Savant. Peace.